That night, amidst the cold, relentless rain, a German shepherd, worn and battered, dragged itself towards the fire station, carrying a blood-soaked shirt in its mouth. No barking, no panic, just eyes burning with a plea for help and an undeniable message. I, Carla, never imagined that when I opened the door for Hunter to step inside, I also opened the door to a journey through guilt, memory, and redemption. It is a story of loyalty, persistence, and the miracle of hearts that never give up. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. That night, the rain continued to pour down on the quiet streets of a small town on the edge of the forest. The wind howled through the cracks in the door, bringing with it the chill and the scent of damp earth. Carla sat still in the fire station holding a cold coffee. Outside, only the occasional crackling sound from the radio broke the silence, and the yellowed light reflected through the frosted glass. Suddenly, amidst the wind and rain, I heard a faint scratching at the metal door. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then the scratching came again. More urgent, more trembling. I stood up quickly, my heart pounding. When I opened the door, the light from the porch revealed an image that stopped me cold. A German shepherd, its fur soaked, caked with mud and blood, was standing there panting heavily. Its front leg limped, blood oozing from countless wounds, but what sent a chill down my spine was the blood-soaked shirt it was carrying in its mouth, a child's blue, faded t-shirt. Dark bloodstains smeared across the chest. And at the corner of the shirt, I vaguely saw small stitching, as if someone had carefully embroidered the child's name there. Hunter. I didn't know its name then, but I could see it in its eyes, deep and desperate, yet still burning with a faint hope. It dropped the shirt onto the cold cement floor, let out a small whimper, and then raised its head to stare directly into my eyes. No barking, no whimpering for food like other stray dogs, just that gaze, as if pleading, as if commanding. I bent down my hand, brushing its drenched fur, cold, shaking. But beneath the battered body was an unmistakable willpower. I gripped the blood-soaked shirt tightly in my hands, feeling the cold, sticky fabric. A feeling surged within my chest. Someone was out there, and they needed us right away. Hunter looked at me one last time as if signaling, then turned and painfully limped toward the road, leading out of town toward the dark forest that seemed to swallow all light. I hesitated for only a heartbeat. Then I grabbed the rescue gear and jumped into the truck. "All right, kid," I whispered. "Lead the way." And so amid the pouring rain, I chased after that battered figure, not knowing what awaited in the darkness. But my heart had already made up its mind. There was no turning back. The old rescue truck sped through the rain. I gripped the wheel tightly, while Hunter, the filthy yet resilient dog, sat crouched in the passenger seat, its eyes never leaving the dark road ahead. Each time the truck took a turn, it perked up ears, standing straight like a living compass, guiding us. "Are we chasing after a dog in the middle of the night in a forest?" my teammate Lisa murmured from the back seat. "Trust me," I replied, my eyes still glued to the rain-soaked windshield. "It knows what it's doing." A few minutes later, Hunter jumped up and barked urgently. I slammed on the brakes, the tires sliding across the slick mud. Before I could regain control, Hunter had already leaped out of the truck, charging straight into the forest. "Let's go," I yelled, grabbing the flashlight and following. The rain lashed at my face like icy lashes. Each step sank deep into the soft, wet earth. The sharp branches whipped at my face, leaving stinging scratches, but I didn't stop. Hunter led us through the forest. No hesitation, no looking back. Along the way, signs appeared faintly under the flashlight beam, a torn scarf caught on a bush. Bloodstains speckled on the leaves, dark red in the dim light. a broken branch, and a heavy drag mark across the waterlogged grass. Signs of a struggle. Or had someone been dragged away? My heart pounded each beat like a hammer against my chest. I knew one thing for sure. Time was running out. Hunter suddenly stopped, its chest heaving with exhaustion, but its eyes still burning with an unbelievable determination. It raised its head, sniffed the air, and abruptly veered left, charging into a narrow, vine-covered path. "Follow it!" I shouted, pulling Lisa along. The air in the forest was thick sand, stifling as if trying to suffocate my breath. Occasionally, flashes of lightning lit up the scene around me, fallen tree trunks, exposed roots like claws. The rain poured relentlessly, mud splashing every time Hunter sped up, the little figure undeterred by anything. We slipped, tripped, and were struck by branches in the face, but no one stopped. Because we knew that somewhere ahead, someone needed us, and Hunter, the forgotten dog, was pushing forward, leading the way. Through the heavy rain, I saw it, a fragile spark of hope. A torn, blood-soaked piece of clothing draped over a rock. Hunter stood there, turning his head to look at me. His eyes seemed to say, "Hurry up. We're almost there." I tightened my grip on the flashlight, charging forward. No turning back. No hesitation. Because in that darkness, a life was waiting to be saved. Hunter led us through thick bushes to a place where the flashlight beam seemed swallowed up by the dense darkness. I could feel the air change colder, more suffocating, as if the world had forgotten this place for a long time. And then we saw it, a crooked wooden shack, as if one strong gust of wind could bring it down. The rotting boards, the collapsed roof, and the door hanging loosely by a rusted hinge creaking in the wind and rain. I swallowed hard. Lisa stood behind me, clutching the flashlight so tightly that her knuckles turned white. "There's something here," I whispered, my heart pounding. Hunter stood still before the door, not barking, not whining, just staring into the darkness, inside his whole body, taut like a bowstring. I knew he had sniffed something very, very bad. I pulled out my backup flashlight, switched it to its brightest setting, and pushed the rotting wooden door open. The foul stench of rust mold and something even more pungent. The smell of old blood hit me straight in the nose, causing my stomach to churn. I covered my nose, trying to steady myself. The light swept around, illuminating the things inside. A metal chair bolted to the floor, scratched marks spiraling like desperate claw marks. An old bucket tipped over, emitting a vile odor, dirty ropes stained with dark spots that had dried into streaks. But then my flashlight stopped. My heart seemed to stop beating. Lying there in the dusty room was a child's sneaker, tiny light blue with cartoon characters printed on it. A streak of dried blood ran from the toe of the shoe to a depression on the floor. I felt Lisa freeze behind me, unable to utter a word. Hunter slowly approached, his nose trembling. He bent his head gently, touching his nose to the sneaker, then looked up at me, his eyes full of sorrow and urgency. I tightened my grip on the flashlight, struggling to keep my voice steady. "This is not just a missing person case," I whispered. Lisa's voice cracked, full of emotion. "If there's a child, they might still be out there." Hunter's ears perked up at that moment, and he growled softly, turning toward the back of the shack. A clear signal there's someone else still alive. Hunter suddenly stiffened, sniffing the air, and then darted forward like an arrow through the night and the dense forest. "Go," I yelled, rushing after him, my heart pounding wildly. We veered into thick brush, crushing dry twigs and mud beneath our feet. The drizzle fell lightly, the flashlight's beam cutting through the dense mist, casting faint beams of light, as though leading the way into another world. Hunter never hesitated. He crossed slippery fields, leaping over fallen tree trunks, leaving his paw prints on the wet, muddy ground. A a trail we followed like a lifeline. Then suddenly Hunter stopped before us, stood a sheer cliff covered in moss, slippery and treacherous. My God. Lisa gasped, gripping my hand tightly. I pointed the flashlight down below, and then my heart shattered. The boy about 8 years old, small and curled up at the foot of the cliff, was tightly bound with old frayed ropes. His clothes were torn, his knees scraped, and his face bruised. Next to him in the dim light was a tall, thin figure. The kidnapper crouched low, checking the ropes, as if preparing to move the boy. Hunter growled, the deep sound rumbling like thunder. "We don't have time," I whispered, adrenaline coursing. The kidnapper snapped his head up when he heard the growl. He stumbled to his feet, panic flashing in his eyes. Then he pulled a knife from his jacket. "Don't come any closer," he yelled, his voice high with fear. Lisa and I signaled to him, slowly trying to divert his attention, but Hunter didn't hesitate. In the moment the kidnapper relaxed, Hunter lunged forward like a storm. A roar echoed. Hunter charged straight at the man, targeting the arm holding the knife. The knife fell to the ground with a sharp clang, and Hunter pinned the man to the ground, growling in a menacing threat. "Don't move," I yelled quickly, rushing forward to cut the ropes binding Ethan. The boy let out a soft groan, his eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. "You're safe now," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Lisa called for an ambulance through the radio, while I held Ethan close, shielding him from the cold rain and wind. The kidnapper struggled, but Hunter kept him pinned, his eyes burning like a fierce fire, not allowing any danger to come near. When the police team arrived, Hunter finally relaxed, stepping back and standing proudly beside me and Ethan, ready to protect me. A medical staff member knelt beside Ethan, nodding to us. "He's alive. He needs immediate care, but he's alive." I looked at Hunter, my throat tight. It was Hunter who had found the boy. Hunter had lit the spark of hope in the night. And at that moment, when I saw Hunter's tail gently wag, I knew everything was okay. After rescuing Ethan and apprehending the kidnapper, I still couldn't stop thinking about Hunter. That dog, ragged, injured, and exhausted, had an uncanny understanding in its eyes, as if it carried memories that no human could ever imagine. While Ethan was being cared for at the hospital, I worked with the investigation team to comb through the dilapidated shack we had found. Then a shocking discovery came from beneath the rotting floorboards, a silver metal tag nearly illegible. I squinted, trying to read the faint markings under the flashlight. Hunter, K9 unit, MIA 5 years ago. My heart sank. Hunter was not an unknown stray. Hunter was a K9 warrior, a service dog who had once served in an elite rescue team, who had gone missing in a tragic case 5 years ago. A cold case. A young girl went missing in these woods. Back then, people believed she was dead, and the rescue dog who participated in the search mission never returned. It was assumed that Hunter had gotten lost, injured, and/or had died in the deep forest, along with secrets that were never uncovered. But the truth was far crueler. Hunter had never given up. For the past 5 years, Hunter had silently wandered the forest, never leaving the site of the incident. Not abandoning it and not seeking help, I'm just silently keeping watch. Now, when Ethan was discovered to have been kidnapped and held in the same area, Hunter didn't hesitate. It found its way to the fire station with the last of its exhausted strength to drag me out of a false sense of peace, forcing me to hear the silent cries for help it had held on to for so long. I sat on the steps of the fire station that night, the faded silver tag in my hand. Hunter lying exhausted beside my feet, its head gently resting on my knee, breathing heavily, but its eyes still burning bright. I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Hunter, you never forgot, and now no one will dare to forget you. Hunter gave a slight wag of its tail, not out of joy, but as a whisper, I'm done now, but I knew. Our journey with Hunter wasn't over yet. The news about Hunter spread quickly like wildfire. Stray dog saves kidnapped boy K9 soldier returns from oblivion. These headlines flooded the newspapers, TV channels, and social media. They organized a ceremony in front of the fire station where I worked. The people from the small mountain town, who usually cared little for anything beyond the storm and hunting season, gathered in droves filling the square. Ethan, now healthier, was brought there by his parents. He held a scribbled drawing. A large dog stood before a dense forest, protecting a tiny child. Below it was a scribbled caption, Hunter, the Forest Guardian. When Hunter stepped onto the small stage, its once ragged fur now brushed the bandages around its leg removed. The crowd fell silent, then erupted into applause. The mayor bent down and gently placed a small medal around Hunter's neck. It was engraved with, "For bravery without orders." Hunter blinked once, its ears twitching slightly, as if it didn't care much for the glory the world bestowed upon it. Its eyes were still fixed on the deep, dark forest in the distance. That was where it belonged. Not on a podium, but in the shadows where no one dared to go. After the ceremony, people suggested bringing Hunter to the capital for adoption, to award it a national honor. Some even suggested allowing Hunter to retire in an elite rescue dog center. But when I bent down, gently stroked Hunter's head, and asked, "Do you want to go?" Hunter only nuzzled my feet, its eyes still gazing toward the old forest. A look that needed no explanation. Hunter had made its choice. And so Hunter stayed. I am no longer working as a K9 warrior. No commands are needed, no training is required, just simply a silent forest guard. Before the sun rose through the dew-covered trees every morning, Hunter would patrol the forest's edge, its steps quiet but steady. Every evening before the fire station lights went out, Hunter would sit in front of the gate, its golden eyes gazing deep into the night, as though listening to whispers from the old souls still lurking in the forest. The villagers began to get used to this sight. Children waved goodbye as they left for school. The elderly would place dry bread by the gate as a silent gesture of thanks. Hunter was no longer an unknown dog. Hunter was a symbol, a living badge. No need for it to be engraved on a shirt, because it was already engraved in the hearts of everyone. After all that had happened, I knew I couldn't let Hunter be just a fire station dog. Hunter deserved more than that. Hunter deserved a home. One foggy morning, sitting with Hunter on the porch of the station, my hand holding the adoption form, I murmured, "How about we officially become a family?" Hunter tilted its head, then silently nuzzled its nose into my palm, as if to accept without needing any words. We signed the form right there in the station chief's office. As the pen finished the final strokes on the paper, it felt like I had just sworn an oath for life. From that day on, Hunter was no longer just a hero or a forest guard. Hunter was family. In the days that followed, my small home, once filled only with silence and the lonely glow of a kerosene lamp, suddenly came alive. Hunter now had a bed next to the fireplace with a soft blanket that I had personally embroidered with the words, "Welcome home, Hunter." And I would walk around the forest's edge every morning like a ritual to greet the new day. In the evenings, he would lie on the porch, resting his head on my leg, his eyes half closed, listening to the faint sounds of the wind leaves and old memories. Then Ethan, the boy Hunter had saved, would also come by often. At first it was just brief visits with his hand still tightly holding his mother's. But Ethan's smile grew brighter over time and his steps became quicker. And always, whenever he arrived at the gate, he would shout, "Huner, I'm here." No matter how deep in Hunter's sleep, He would spring up, running out to greet him, with all the joy a living being could carry in its heart. Once I saw Ethan lean his head against Hunter's thick fur, whispering something I couldn't hear, but I knew it was a thank you. The most sincere thank you, not in words, but in the heart of a young boy who had once been lost in the dark, in the evenings, the three of us, me. Hunter and Ethan would sit by the fire. I would tell Ethan old stories about strange rescue missions, the storm from years ago, and sometimes about the more complicated things to say, like how sometimes even the tiniest spark of hope can save a life. Hunter, as always, would quietly lie between us, a silent guard, a living memory of loss and miracles. Our small family didn't need to be perfect. All we needed was hearts full of gratitude. All we needed was a sincere presence. And though Hunter could never speak, I knew that somehow in that wolf's heart, he understood, finally we found each other, and we'll never be lost again. On the edge of the forest, beneath the fiery red sunset, Hunter would still sit there, his ears perked, his deep eyes gazing far into the distance. No more cries for help, no more haunting shadows, just the whispering wind and the warm scent of the earth. We knew Hunter wasn't just guarding the forest. He was guarding memories, beliefs, and silent promises. And every morning, when the sunlight touched the forest's edge, I would whisper, "Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for waiting."